The doorbell rang at 7 p.m. on Thursday, and through my security monitor, I saw 2 police officers standing beside my sister Sarah. Her voice carried through the door, telling them I was having a mental breakdown and had threatened her twin daughters. My heart shattered hearing those words, but I kept my composure. I opened the door calmly and looked directly at the officers. "Please come in," I said steadily. "I have security cameras throughout my house for my jewelry business. I have something you need to see." I led them to my laptop, knowing the footage would reveal everything. I'm Christian, 32 years old, and I designed custom jewelry from my home studio in suburban Colorado. 6 months ago, our grandmother passed away, leaving me her house and her vintage jewelry collection. The appraisal came back at $400,000, a life-changing inheritance that I'd planned to use to expand my business and secure my future. Sarah, my 36-year-old sister, had always been the one everyone looked up to. She married Derek right out of college, had the twins Emma and Madison 8 years ago, and lived what seemed like the perfect suburban life. But things had changed 3 months ago when Derek lost his job at the tech company. Sarah never told me directly, but our Aunt Patricia had mentioned they were struggling. Still, I never imagined my own sister would do what she did. That Thursday started like any normal day. Sarah had texted me the night before asking if she could bring the twins over after school. She said they missed their Aunt Christian and wanted to see my new jewelry designs. Of course I said yes. I loved those girls like they were my own children. They arrived around 3:30 in the afternoon, the girls bouncing with excitement, carrying their backpacks and chattering about their school day. I had been working on a set of custom engagement rings for a client's spring wedding. The twins settled in the living room with their iPads and snacks ID prepared, while Sarah said she needed to use the bathroom. Nothing seemed unusual. I continued working in my studio, which had a clear view of the living room where the girls were playing. Sarah was gone for maybe 15 minutes, but I figured she might have been making phone calls. She'd been stressed lately, and I wanted to give her privacy. When the officers and I sat down at my computer, I pulled up the security footage from that afternoon. I had cameras in every common area of my house, installed 2 years ago after a break-in down the street. They were clearly visible, not hidden, and everyone who entered knew they were there. What the footage showed made Officer Thompson, the senior officer, lean forward in his seat. The timestamp showed 3:47 p.m. There was Sarah, walking past the bathroom and straight into my bedroom. The camera angle showed her going directly to my jewelry box on the dresser. She knew exactly where to look, pulling out the bottom drawer where I kept important papers. Her hands found a small card, and she photographed it with her phone. It was the combination to my safe. The next footage showed her opening the safe in my closet. She methodically photographed every document inside, including grandmother's will, the insurance policies for the jewelry collection, the appraisal documents, even my bank statements. But then came the part that made Officer Thompson's partner, Officer Davis, actually gasp. Sarah pulled something from her purse, a prescription bottle. She walked into my bathroom and placed it carefully behind my vitamins in the medicine cabinet. Then she took photos of it there, as if she'd discovered it. She arranged a few more bottles, making them look haphazardly placed, and photographed those too. The timestamp showed this took her 12 minutes. She then calmly walked back to the living room, where I found her playing with the twins when I came out for a water break. "Mom," Officer Thompson said slowly, "this appears to be evidence of planning something. Do you have any idea what medication she planted?" I shook my head, and we walked to my bathroom together. Behind my daily vitamins was a prescription bottle, with someone else's name partially scratched off. The label showed it was OxyContin, 30 pills, prescribed just last week. I'd never seen it before in my life. I take anxiety medication prescribed by my doctor after our mother passed away last year, I explained, showing them my legitimate prescription. But I've never had any painkillers. I don't even take aspirin unless I absolutely have to. Officer Davis was taking photographs of everything, while Officer Thompson asked Sarah to wait in his patrol car. Through my window, I could see her pacing, her face twisted with anger rather than worry. She kept checking her phone, typing furiously. "Miss Christian," Officer Thompson said, "I think we need to see more of these recordings. This is looking like attempted fraud, possibly worse." I nodded, my hands surprisingly steady as I clicked to pull up more footage. "Officer, what you just saw is only the beginning. She's been planning this for months." I started showing them footage from the previous weeks. Each visit Sarah made to my house suddenly took on a sinister meaning when viewed through the security cameras. The pattern was undeniable and methodical. 6 visits in the past month alone, each one with its own purpose in what I now understood was a carefully orchestrated plan to destroy my life. The first documented visit was 4 weeks ago. Sarah had come over for what she called a sister dinner on a Friday night. Id made her favorite pasta dish, opened a bottle of wine, and Wed talked about grandmother's funeral, about the memories we shared. The footage showed me having exactly 2 glasses of wine over 3 hours. But there was Sarah, secretly recording me with her phone propped against her purse, angled to catch me every time I took a sip. Later footage from that same night showed her in my kitchen while I was in the bathroom, taking close-up photos of the wine bottles in my rack, making it look like I had an extensive collection when really most were gifts from clients I kept for special occasions. 2 weeks after that, she visited on a Tuesday afternoon, claiming she needed a quiet place to work while the twins were at school. I'd given her full run of the house while I worked in my studio. The cameras showed her going through my home office, photographing my laptop screen when Id left my email open, taking pictures of my prescription anxiety medication from multiple angles to make one bottle look like several. She even went through my trash, pulling out an old wine bottle from a dinner party the week before and photographing it beside my daily medication as if they were connected. The third visit was the most invasive. Sarah had suggested a spa day at my house, just the 2 of us, face masks and manicures like when we were teenagers. While I was in the shower, she went through my bedroom drawers, my closet, even under my bed. She found the journal my therapist had recommended I keep after Mom's death, where I wrote about my grief, my struggles with insomnia, my fears about running the business alone. She photographed page after page, entries where I'd written things like, "I don't know how I'll get through this, and some days I can barely get out of bed." All normal grief responses that she was documenting as evidence of instability. But then Officer Thompson noticed something in the footage I hadn't seen before. "Miss Christian, can you enhance this section?" He pointed to the timestamp from 3 weeks ago. There, in the corner of the frame, barely visible, was Sarah on her phone. The enhanced audio picked up fragments of her conversation. "Marcus, yes, I've got documentation going back 6 weeks now," she was saying. "The wine, the pills, the journal entries about not coping, it's all here." "How much more do you need?" Officer Davis looked at me. "Who's Marcus?" "I have no idea," I said. But I pulled up the 4th visit from 2 weeks ago. This time, Sarah had brought the twins, but Shed also brought someone else. A man in his 40s, well-dressed, carrying a leather briefcase. Sarah had introduced him as Marcus, a family friend who wanted to see grandmother's jewelry collection for insurance purposes. Id thought it was odd, but trusted my sister's judgment. The footage showed them in my studio, but while I was showing the twins how to make simple wire rings, Marcus and Sarah were having a hushed conversation by the window. The audio was faint, but audible. Marcus was explaining something about psychiatric holds and emergency conservatorship and power of attorney transfers. He mentioned that with the right documentation, they could have me evaluated and held for 72 hours, during which time Sarah could petition the court for control of my assets as my nearest relative. All they needed was evidence of danger to myself or others. "This is conspiracy," Officer Thompson said firmly. "This is a planned attempt to defraud you of your inheritance. Do you have any idea why your sister would do this?" I pulled up my banking app on my phone and showed them the transfers I'd been making to Sarah over the past 3 months. $5,000 here, $3,000 there, loans she promised to pay back once Derek found a new job. In total, I'd given her $18,000, but apparently, it wasn't enough. The 5th visit was just last Sunday. Wed had a family dinner at our Aunt Patricia's house, the whole extended family gathering for our monthly meal. Id felt uncomfortable all evening, sensing people looking at me strangely, conversations stopping when I walked into rooms. Now I understood why. Id started carrying a small camera in my purse, perfectly legal in Colorado as long as I was part of the conversation, because Id felt something was wrong. That footage was on my phone, and I pulled it up for the officers. There was Sarah, standing in Aunt Patricia's living room with 8 family members around her, including Uncle Robert, our family patriarch, and our cousin Jennifer, who worked at a medical clinic downtown. Sarah was showing them photos on her phone, the ones Shed taken at my house, telling them she was deeply concerned about my mental state. "She's been spiraling since Mom died," Sarah said on the recording. The drinking, the pills, the late-night rambling texts. I found 3 different types of prescription bottles in her bathroom. And look at these journal entries. She's talking about not wanting to go on, about everything being too hard. I'm scared for her, but I'm more scared for my girls. What if she does something when they're over there? The family members were nodding, expressing concern, offering to help. Uncle Robert, who'd always been protective of us since our father died when we were kids, said he would support whatever intervention was necessary. Aunt Patricia was crying, saying she'd noticed Id seemed withdrawn lately. Cousin Jennifer was the most vocal. I could check her medical records, Jennifer said, and my blood ran cold hearing it. I mean, just to see if she's been getting help or if there are other prescriptions we don't know about. We have ways to check these things when there's family concern. That would be a HIPAA violation, Officer Davis said immediately. That's a federal crime. I fast-forwarded to later in the recording. Jennifer was pulling Sarah aside, whispering, but my camera caught it. I looked her up. She's been seeing a psychiatrist for 6 months. Dr. Brown, downtown. She's on Xanax and something else I couldn't make out. There are notes about major depressive episodes, anxiety attacks, and something about complicated grief disorder. Sarah's response chilled me. Perfect. Document everything you can. Marcus says we need medical backing for the hold. Can you write something up? Something official looking. Jennifer nodded. I'll say I observed concerning behavior at family gatherings. It's not technically false. I have seen her drinking wine and looking sad. The officers were now fully invested in the case, with Officer Thompson calling for a detective while we continued reviewing footage. What came next was even more devastating than the conspiracy between Sarah and Jennifer. The camera footage from my purse at last Sunday's dinner revealed how deep the poison had spread through my family. After the main conversation about my supposed instability, smaller groups had formed throughout the house. In the kitchen, I caught Sarah talking to our cousin Michael and his wife Laura. She was showing them edited text messages, screenshots where she'd cropped out her own provocative messages that had triggered my responses. One exchange showed me saying I can't do this anymore, which was actually about a difficult client project, but without context, it looked like a cry for help. Another showed me texting at 3 a.m. saying, I'm so tired of fighting, which was about a dispute with a jewelry supplier, but Sarah presented it as evidence of suicidal ideation. Michael, who's a teacher and mandatory reporter, was immediately concerned. Should I file something with social services? I mean, if she's a danger to herself or others, I'm legally obligated. Sarah's response was calculated. Not yet. Marcus says we need more documentation first. But be ready, and maybe you could write a statement about times you've seen her acting strangely? Remember grandmother's birthday dinner when she started crying? Everyone remembered that dinner. It was 2 weeks after Mom's funeral, and grandmother would have been 90. I'd broken down during the toast, overwhelmed by the loss. Any normal person would have cried, but Sarah was spinning it as mental instability. In the living room, Uncle Robert was holding court with his sons, my cousins James and Peter. The recording showed him laying out a plan. If Christian needs help, we intervene as a family. I've already talked to Judge Walker at the golf club. He says involuntary commitment requires clear evidence of danger. But with enough family testimony, we could at least get a wellness check that could lead to a hold. James, who worked in real estate, added his own sinister contribution. Once she's in psychiatric hold, we could argue the house should be put in trust. I know developers who would pay top dollar for that property. 3 acres in that neighborhood? We're talking $2 million at least. The jewelry collection alone is worth $400,000. Peter chimed in. If Sarah gets conservatorship, she could liquidate everything and set up trusts for the family. It's what grandmother would have wanted, her assets protecting all of us, not just Christian. But the most heartbreaking betrayal came from my Aunt Patricia, my mother's own sister, who I'd thought of as a second mom. The camera caught her in the bathroom on a phone call with someone. Yes, doctor. This is about my niece, Christian. Her sister and I are very concerned. She's been exhibiting signs of breakdown since her mother died. We'd like to schedule an intervention, maybe have her evaluated. We can bring her in, say it's for lunch, and then have your team ready. The person on the other end was apparently agreeing because Patricia continued. Wonderful. And you can do a 72-hour hold if she resists? Good. Well, try this week. Her sister will contact you with the details. Back in my living room, Officer Thompson paused the playback. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, false imprisonment, and multiple other crimes. How many people are involved in this? I counted on my fingers. Sarah, Derek, Marcus the lawyer, Jennifer from the clinic, Uncle Robert, James, Peter, Michael, Laura, Aunt Patricia, and whoever that doctor was. At least 11 people, probably more. Detective Martinez arrived then, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s who took one look at the evidence, compiled, and immediately understood the scope. This is organized crime, she said simply. This is a conspiracy to steal your inheritance through false psychiatric commitment. I need all of this footage backed up immediately. As we worked on copying the files, more footage revealed the depth of the planning. From 2 weeks ago, there was Derek in my garage at 2 a.m. Sarah had told me Head borrowed my spare key to check on me because she was worried, and Id thought it was sweet, if unnecessary. But the camera showed him methodically photographing everything in my garage, including my car, looking for evidence of erratic behavior. He opened my glove compartment and placed something inside, then photographed it as if discovering it. "We need to check your car right now," Detective Martinez said. We walked outside, and with gloved hands, she opened my glove compartment. Inside was a small plastic bag containing white pills, unmarked and definitely not mine. Detective Martinez carefully bagged it as evidence. "These look like opioids," she said. "If they'd called in a wellness check and found these, combined with the planted prescription bottle, you'd have been arrested on the spot." We went back inside to continue reviewing footage. The most recent recording from just yesterday showed Sarah meeting with a man I didn't recognize. Shed told me she was using my home office to do some online shopping while the twins were at school. But the camera showed her letting someone in through the back door. The man was tall, thin, wearing a badge on a lanyard that suggested medical credentials. Their conversation was clear as day. "I'm Paul Morrison," he said, "Derek's friend from college. I understand you need a psychiatric evaluation done." Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "Can you make it look official? We need something that says she's a danger to herself and others, specifically to my children." Paul pulled out official-looking forms. "I've done this before. Costs $5,000, cash only. I'll write up an evaluation saying I observed her over several visits, documenting erratic behavior, mood swings, substance abuse indicators, and potential violent tendencies. With this, you can get an emergency conservatorship within 48 hours. "Perfect," Sarah said, counting out cash from an envelope. "We're calling the police tomorrow. Once she's in custody, we file the paperwork. Marcus has a judge ready to sign off." Detective Martinez's face was grim. This Paul Morrison, if that's his real name, is impersonating a medical professional. That's a felony, combined with fraud and conspiracy charges. We're looking at serious prison time for multiple people. The final piece of footage from that afternoon, just hours before Sarah called the police, showed her on the phone with Derek. Her words would seal her fate. "After tonight, Christian won't be a problem anymore," she said clearly. "Once she's committed, I get emergency power of attorney as her next of kin. Marcus has all the paperwork ready. Mom's money will finally go where it belongs, to your daughters, not to Christian's stupid jewelry business. Well, sell the house, liquidate the collection, and finally get out of this financial hole. The family's all on board. Even if she gets out eventually, no one will ever believe her over all of us." Detective Martinez had seen enough to take immediate action, but I needed the officers to understand the full scope of what my sister had done. I pulled out my laptop and showed them the financial documents I'd gathered when I first became suspicious something was wrong, about a week ago when Sarah had asked for another loan. "Look at this," I said, showing them Sarah and Derek's public records. 3 months behind on their mortgage, their house is in pre-foreclosure, $45,000 in credit card debt spread across 12 cards. Derek's car was repossessed last month, which is why he's been borrowing mine so often. The detective studied the documents carefully. When did their financial problems start? 2 years ago, Derek got promoted to senior management at his tech company. They immediately upgraded everything, bought a bigger house in Highlands Ranch, enrolled the twins in private school, joined the country club. Sarah started shopping at high-end boutiques, posting constantly on Instagram about their perfect life. Then, 6 months ago, Derek's company did an audit and found he'd been falsifying expense reports. He was quietly fired to avoid scandal, but word got around the industry. He can't get hired anywhere. I pulled up Sarah's social media, which told a different story from their reality. Designer bags, spa days, vacation photos from 2 months ago in Aspen that I now realized were probably charged to maxed-out credit cards. The image was everything to her, and she was drowning trying to maintain it. But there's more, I continued, pulling up another set of recordings from 2 weeks ago. This one showed Derek in my home office at 2 a.m. Not just photographing, but actively going through my computer. He'd left it in sleep mode, and had accessed my email, my banking information, even my client database. The footage showed him copying files onto a thumb drive, including my client list with their personal information, their orders, their payment details. He spent 20 minutes studying my business finances, taking photos of my profit and loss statements, my tax returns. Everything that showed my jewelry business was thriving. He sent emails from my account, I said, pulling up my sent folder. Look, 3 emails to clients saying I was taking a mental health break and might need to delay their orders. 2 more to suppliers suggesting I was having financial difficulties. He was trying to sabotage my business reputation. Detective Martinez was typing rapidly on her phone. We need a warrant for their electronics immediately. This is corporate sabotage on top of everything else. Then I showed them something that made even the seasoned detective's eyes widen. Yesterday, I got curious and checked the twins' iPad history. Sarah doesn't know I have the parental controls password. I pulled up the browser history. Look what she's been showing them. The search history was full of articles about mentally ill relatives. What to do when aunt is scary. Why some adults need special hospitals. And most disturbingly, how to tell police about dangerous family members. She'd been preparing her 8-year-old daughters to lie to law enforcement. But the worst was yet to come. In the iPad's video folder were practice sessions. Sarah had recorded the twins rehearsing what to say about me. Emma, the older twin by 6 minutes, was saying robotically, Aunt Christian yells at us and throws things. She drinks from bottles and acts weird. I don't feel safe. Madison, always the more sensitive one, was crying in the video. Mommy, I don't want to lie about Aunt Chrissy. She's nice to us. Sarah's voice came through sharp and manipulative. Madison, honey, remember what we talked about? If Aunt Christian doesn't get help, she might hurt herself. We're not lying. We're helping. And if you help Mommy with this, we can keep our house and you can stay in your school with your friends. You want that, don't you? Plus, I promised you both new iPads for Christmas if you're good girls, and help Mommy. The pink ones you wanted. The recording showed Madison nodding through her tears while Emma hugged her sister. Just say what Mommy taught us, Maddie. It's like a play at school. Officer Davis, who'd been quiet for a while, finally spoke. This is child abuse. Using children as pawns in fraud, coaching them to lie to police. Child Protective Services needs to be involved. I then pulled up bank records showing something even more sinister. 3 days ago, Sarah opened a new bank account in just her name, not joint with Derek. She transferred what little money they had left into it. And look at this. The statement showed a pending life insurance application on me, with Sarah listed as the beneficiary. The application was for $2 million, citing my dangerous lifestyle and mental health issues as risk factors that would justify the high premiums. The signature on the application was forged. A poor attempt at copying my handwriting. She was planning for multiple outcomes, Detective Martinez said slowly. If the commitment didn't work, if you were to have an accident or suicide while supposedly mentally ill, she'd get the insurance payout. As if the universe wanted to provide more evidence, Sarah's phone, which had been confiscated when she was placed in the patrol car, began buzzing with messages. Detective Martinez had obtained a quick warrant and was able to access it. The messages were from Marcus, the lawyer. Is it done? Do they have her? The judge is ready. Bring her in tonight. Remember, act concerned but not too eager. You're a loving sister forced to make a hard choice. Delete these messages after reading. But Sarah hadn't deleted the earlier messages. The thread went back 3 months, starting right after Derek lost his job. Marcus, whose full name was Marcus Fitzgerald, wasn't just any lawyer. He specialized in estate manipulation and had been disbarred in 2 other states before setting up practice in Colorado. Sarah had found him through an online forum for people trying to claim inheritance from family members. The messages revealed the full plan. First, establish a pattern of mental illness through documentation. Second, get family support through manipulation of evidence. Third, arrange for psychiatric hold using false medical testimony. Fourth, obtain emergency conservatorship during the hold. Fifth, liquidate all assets immediately, claiming urgent medical expenses. Sixth, if all else failed, the life insurance would kick in after an unfortunate accident. This, Marcus Fitzgerald, Detective Martinez said, already pulling up his information on her tablet, has currently under investigation for 3 similar cases. Elderly abuse, mostly. Convincing family members to have seniors declared incompetent. Your sister found herself a professional con artist. By now, 2 more police cars had arrived, along with another detective. The evidence was overwhelming, but Sarah didn't know that yet. She was still in the patrol car, and Detective Martinez decided it was time to confront her with what Wed found. They brought her inside, and the moment she saw all the officers crowded around my laptop, her face went pale. "I don't know what she's shown you," Sarah started immediately, her voice high and desperate. "But Christian is sick. She needs help. She's probably edited those videos or something. She's paranoid, sees conspiracies everywhere." Detective Martinez simply pressed play on the most recent footage, the one of Sarah with Paul Morrison, the fake psychiatrist. Sarah watched herself counting out $5,000 in cash, discussing the false evaluation, planning my commitment. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. That's not what it looks like," she stammered. "Paul is a real doctor. He was just consulting about Christian's condition. Paul Morrison is actually Paul Marinsky," Detective Martinez said calmly. "Hayes wanted in 3 states for impersonating medical professionals. He has no medical degree, no psychiatric training, and has been involved in 7 cases of fraud similar to yours. We picked him up an hour ago trying to flee to Mexico. Has already talking, Sarah. Has told us everything about your plan." Sarah's demeanor changed instantly. The concerned sister act dropped, and her face twisted into something ugly. "You don't understand what it's been like," she screamed at me. "You got everything. Grandmother loved you more, left you the house, the jewelry, everything. What did I get? Nothing. I'm the one with kids, with a family to support. That money should be mine." "Actually," I said quietly, pulling out grandmother's real will, not the one Sarah had photographed but the complete version. "Grandmother left you something, $50,000 in trust for the twins' education. But there was a clause. If you tried to contest the will or interfere with my inheritance in any way, you'd forfeit it. You just lost your daughter's college funds." Sarah lunged at me then, screaming obscenities, but the officers restrained her quickly. As they held her, she kept ranting, and every word was being recorded by both the police body cameras and my home security system. "Derek was right. We should have just killed you and made it look like suicide. You're already seeing a shrink, taking pills. Everyone would have believed it. But no, I had to try the legal way first. Marcus said it would be cleaner. Do you have any idea what it's like watching you live in this house, running your little jewelry business, while my kids might have to change schools, while we lose our home?" "Sarah," I said, my voice steady despite the tears running down my face. "I gave you $18,000. I offered to pay for the twins' school directly. I told you that you could move in here with me until you got back on your feet. You refused everything except cash. This was never about saving your family. This was about greed and jealousy." Derek arrived then, screeching into my driveway in a rental car. He burst through the door, saw the police, saw Sarah in handcuffs, and immediately started backing away. But Officer Thompson was already moving toward him. "Derek Matthews, we need to ask you some questions about prescription medications found in this house and in a vehicle registered to Christian Matthews." Derek's pocket made a rattling sound as he moved, and when Officer Thompson asked him to empty them, 3 prescription bottles fell out. All had different names on them, all partially scratched off, all for controlled substances. "Those aren't mine," Derek said quickly. "I was just holding them for a friend. The same friend you were going to plant them on your sister-in-law," Detective Martinez asked. "We have you on camera, Derek. In the garage, in the house, accessing Christian's computer, corporate espionage, breaking and entering, attempted fraud, possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute. You're looking at 15 to 20 years. Derek's face crumpled. It was all Sarah's idea. She said if we could get Christian committed, we'd get the inheritance. She found Marcus online. She contacted Paul. She got Jennifer to look up the medical records. I just did what she told me to do. Sarah turned on him viciously. You coward! You were happy to spend the money we'd get. You're the one who lost your job for stealing. You're the reason we're in this mess. They continued screaming at each other, blaming one another, revealing more details of their crimes in their anger. Every word was evidence. Every accusation was an admission of guilt. Then my phone rang. It was Aunt Patricia. She was crying hysterically. Christian, I just saw the police at your house on the neighbor's Facebook Live. What's happening? Is Sarah okay? Are you okay? You should come over, Patricia, Detective Martinez said, taking my phone. We have some questions for you, too. Within an hour, my house was full of family members and who'd been called in for questioning. Uncle Robert arrived with his lawyer. Jennifer came straight from work, still in her medical scrubs. Michael and Laura, James and Peter, all of them filing into my home that they'd been so ready to take from me. Detective Martinez had set up a laptop in my dining room and began playing the footage for all of them. Their faces went through a journey of emotions, from confusion to recognition to horror as they realized they'd been caught. But the most dramatic reaction came from Jennifer. When the detective played the part where Jennifer admitted to illegally accessing my medical records, she broke down completely. I could lose my license. I could go to jail. Sarah said it was just to help Christian, that we were saving her life. I didn't know about the money, about the inheritance scheme. I swear I thought we were helping. Uncle Robert, the family patriarch who'd always prided himself on his moral standing, looked like head aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Sarah showed us pictures, documents. It all looked real. The pills, the drinking, the journal entries about wanting to die. How were we supposed to know she was setting this all up? You were supposed to talk to me, I said quietly. I'm your niece. You've known me for 32 years. Did you ever once ask me directly if I was okay? Did any of you even try to verify Sarah's claims before planning to have me committed? The silence was deafening. Michael spoke up, his teacher's instincts kicking in. We failed you, Christian. We failed as a family. Sarah manipulated us, yes, but we were too ready to believe the worst. We were too ready to take action without asking questions. Detective Martinez announced that Sarah and Derek were being arrested on multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit fraud, false imprisonment, forgery, identity theft, corporate espionage, possession of controlled substances, and child endangerment for involving the twins. Jennifer was being arrested for HIPAA violations. Marcus Fitzgerald and Paul Morrison were already in custody. The rest of the family would be interviewed and potentially charged as accessories, though the detective indicated that those who were genuinely deceived might avoid prosecution if they cooperated fully with the investigation. The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of police interviews, lawyers, and media attention. Someone had leaked the story to the local news, and suddenly my quiet street was full of reporters. Family conspiracy to steal inheritance through false psychiatric commitment became the headline that shocked our entire community. But my immediate concern was the twins. With both parents arrested, Child Protective Services had stepped in. Aunt Patricia, despite her involvement in the conspiracy, was deemed the best temporary guardian since she'd been genuinely deceived and was fully cooperating with authorities. I met with the CPS worker and insisted on being part of the decision. Those girls are victims too. I told the social worker, Mrs. Chen, they need stability and therapy, not more trauma. Emma and Madison were brought to my house the next day for a supervised visit. They ran to me, crying, confused about why their parents were gone. I held them tight. These innocent casualties of their parents' greed. Aunt Chrissy, Emma said through tears. Mommy made us practice saying mean things about you. We didn't want to. You're our favorite aunt. You teach us jewelry making and always have our favorite snacks. Madison added, Mommy said if we didn't help, we'd lose our house and have to leave our friends. She said it was your fault Daddy lost his job. But that's not true, is it? No, sweetheart, it's not true, I said gently. Your mommy and daddy made some bad choices, but that's not your fault. You're going to stay with Aunt Patricia for a while, but I'll see you as much as I can, okay? Over the next week, The full scope of the conspiracy unraveled. Marcus Fitzgerald's other victims came forward. Elderly people whose families had stolen their estates using similar tactics. Paul Morrison was linked to 12 cases of medical fraud. The FBI got involved when they discovered the conspiracy crossed state lines. As Marcus had accomplices in Wyoming and Kansas, Sarah, from jail, initially maintained her innocence, claiming she was trying to help me. But when Derek took a plea deal and testified against her, revealing even more details about their plan, she finally broke. Her lawyer contacted me about a possible plea arrangement. I met with Sarah in the county jail 2 weeks after her arrest. She looked haggard, her designer clothes replaced with orange coveralls, her perfect makeup gone. For the first time in years, I saw my actual sister, not the facade Shed presented. Why? I asked simply. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. It started small. Derek lost his job, and I was embarrassed. Everyone thinking we had perfect lives, and suddenly we couldn't even pay for the girls' dance classes. When grandmother died and left you everything, something in me snapped. It wasn't fair. I'm older. I have children. I followed all the rules, got married, had babies, did everything right. You're single, childless, making your little jewelry. Why did you deserve it all? Because I was there, I said quietly. Every Sunday for 3 years, I visited grandmother. I helped her with groceries, doctor's appointments, cleaning. Where were you, Sarah? You visited maybe once every few months, and only when you needed money. Sarah's face crumpled. I know you earned it. But the jealousy ate me alive. And once I started the plan with Marcus, it was like quicksand. Each lie required another. Each step pulled me deeper. By the time I realized how insane it had gotten, I was in too deep to stop. You could have just asked for help, I said. Real help, not just money. I would have let you live with me. I would have helped Derek find a job through my connections. I would have been there for you. I know, she whispered. My pride destroyed everything. My girls. What have I done to my girls? The plea deal was straightforward. Sarah would serve 3 years in minimum security prison, pay full restitution for the money it given her and the costs it incurred, and undergo mandatory mental health treatment. Derek got 18 months and would have to register as a convicted felon, ending any chance of working in tech again. Jennifer lost her medical license and received 2 years probation. Marcus Fitzgerald got 8 years federal time, and Paul Morrison got 6 years. The family meeting 3 weeks after the arrests was tense. Uncle Robert had called everyone together at his house. Some family members were facing charges as accessories. Others were just dealing with the guilt of being manipulated. I wasn't sure I wanted to go, but my therapist, Dr. Brown, encouraged me to face them. Christian, Uncle Robert began. His usual commanding presence diminished. I've failed you in the worst possible way. As the eldest in this family, I should have protected you, not conspired against you. I let Sarah's lies poison my judgment. I'm deeply, profoundly sorry. One by one, family members apologized. Some seemed genuine, like Michael and Laura, who'd started seeing their own therapist to understand how they'd been so easily manipulated. Others, like James and Peter, seemed more sorry they'd been caught than genuinely remorseful. But Aunt Patricia's apology broke my heart. Your mother was my sister, she cried. She'd be devastated to know I tried to hurt you. I got so caught up in Sarah's story, in the fear that you were suffering like your mom did with depression. I should have just talked to you, asked you how you were. Instead, I was ready to have you locked away. Can you ever forgive me? I'm working on it, I said honestly. Trust has to be rebuilt. It's going to take time. I established strict boundaries. Those who wanted to remain in my life had to earn it. Family dinners were off the table for now. I'd meet with individuals who showed genuine remorse and change, but not as a group. The twins were my priority, and I'd work with whoever was caring for them, but the rest had to prove themselves. The most surprising redemption came from the twins themselves. Despite everything their parents had done, these 8-year-old girls showed remarkable resilience. With the help of an excellent child therapist, they began processing what had happened. They wrote me letters, expressing their love and asking if they could still learn jewelry making from me. 3 months have passed since that Thursday evening when police stood at my door. The leaves have turned gold and crimson on the trees around grandmother's house. my house, and life has found a new rhythm. Sarah is serving her sentence at the Women's Correctional Facility 40 miles away. She's enrolled in therapy programs and sends me letters I'm not yet ready to read. Derek is at a different facility, and their divorce papers were filed last month. The twins live with Aunt Patricia now, who's proven herself committed to making amends. She drives them to see me every Saturday, and we spend the day in my studio. Emma has discovered she has a real talent for design, creating patterns that surprise me with their sophistication. Madison prefers the business side, helping me package orders and even suggesting we start a children's line of jewelry. These girls, who could have been destroyed by their parents' actions, are instead growing stronger and more compassionate. Aunt Chrissy, Madison said last week, "I'm sad about Mom and Dad, but I'm learning that sometimes people make really bad choices when they're scared. That doesn't make it okay, but it helps me understand." The business that Sarah and Derek tried to destroy has actually flourished. When the story hit the news, orders poured in from people who wanted to support a small business owner who'd survived such betrayal. I had to hire 2 assistants to keep up with demand. The Truth and Trust collection I launched, featuring pieces inspired by strength and resilience, sold out in 3 days. I've used some of grandmother's inheritance to establish a foundation that helps families affected by financial fraud and false accusations. We provide legal resources, therapy referrals, and support groups. It turns out, stories like mine aren't as rare as you'd think. Families torn apart by greed, siblings destroying each other over inheritance, parents using children as weapons in their battles. But there's also hope. People can change, trust can slowly rebuild, and sometimes the hardest experiences teach us the most valuable lessons. Uncle Robert has become one of my biggest supporters, using his connections to help the foundation grow. Has also testified in 3 other cases where Marcus Fitzgerald destroyed families, helping to ensure that man never practices law again. Michael and Laura volunteer with the foundation, creating educational materials about recognizing manipulation and financial abuse within families. Jennifer's story took an unexpected turn. After losing her medical license, she hit rock bottom. But she used that experience to become an advocate for healthcare privacy, speaking at conferences about how easily HIPAA violations can occur when family pressures override professional ethics. She'll never work in healthcare again, but she's found purpose in preventing others from making her mistakes. Even some good came from the conspiracy itself. The security footage that saved me has become a teaching tool for law enforcement, showing how domestic fraud conspiracies develop and escalate. Detective Martinez told me they've used my case to train other officers on recognizing family-based financial crimes. Last week, I visited Sarah in prison. Not because I forgave her completely, but because carrying anger was exhausting me. She looked healthier than she had during the trial. Clearer somehow. "I'm getting help," she said simply. "Real help. They have me in therapy for narcissistic personality disorder and financial anxiety disorder. I never knew those were actual things. I thought everyone felt that desperate need to appear perfect, that panic about money even when we had enough." "What about the girls?" she asked. "Tell me honestly." "They're remarkable," I told her. "They're in therapy, they're doing well in school, and they talk about you with love, not anger. Kids are resilient when given the right support." Sarah nodded, tears flowing. "I destroyed everything for money that was never mine to begin with. But the worst part? I almost destroyed you, my own sister, and I used my babies to do it. That's something I'll have to live with forever." "Yes," I agreed. "But you can also choose who to be going forward. The girls are going to need their mother someday, a healthy mother who's dealt with her demons. Focus on becoming that person." The house grandmother left me has become a haven not just for me, but for the twins and other family members who are genuinely working to rebuild trust. Sunday dinners have resumed, but with a different guest list. Only those who've shown real growth and change. We don't pretend the betrayal didn't happen. Instead, we talk about it openly, learning from it, making sure such poison never spreads through our family again. My therapist, Dr. Brown, whose records Jennifer had illegally accessed, has helped me understand that my grief over Mother's death, my anxiety about running a business alone, these were normal, human responses to loss and stress. There was never anything wrong with me. The only instability in my life came from those who claimed to love me most. "You know what the most remarkable thing is?" Dr. Brown said in our last session. "You had every right to destroy them all. to pursue maximum sentences, to cut everyone off forever. Instead, you chose a path of justice with mercy, consequences with compassion. That takes extraordinary strength. But I don't feel extraordinary. I feel tired sometimes, sad often, but also grateful. Grateful for the security system that saved me, for officers who listened instead of assuming, for a detective who saw through the lies, and for the strength I didn't know I had until I needed it. The jewelry piece I'm working on now is special. It's a pair of matching necklaces for the twins' 9th birthday next month. Each features a phoenix rising from ashes, because that's what we're all doing in our own ways, rising from the ashes of what our family used to be, creating something newer, more honest, more real. Trust shouldn't be given blindly just because someone shares your blood. When people show you who they really are, believe them the first time. Document everything when your instincts tell you something's wrong. Never be afraid to stand up for yourself, even against family, especially against family, because sometimes they're the ones who can hurt you most. But also remember this: forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about releasing the poison from your own heart so you can heal. Justice doesn't mean revenge. Sometimes the best victory is simply surviving, thriving, and showing those who tried to break you that you're unbreakable. My name is Christian Matthews. 3 months ago, my sister called the police claiming I was unstable and dangerous. She tried to steal my inheritance, my home, my sanity, and my freedom. She failed. Not because I'm special or strong or brave, but because I had cameras, kept records, and trusted the truth more than I trusted family lies. If you're reading this because something similar is happening to you, know this: document everything. Trust your instincts. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And remember that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you with honesty, who supports you without conditions, and who loves you without trying to control or destroy you. The twins are coming over tomorrow. We're making butterfly pendants, their choice, because butterflies remind them that beautiful things can emerge from difficult transformations. Sarah chose destruction, but her daughters are choosing creation. In the end, that's all any of us can do. Choose who we want to be in the aftermath of betrayal. Choose whether to let bitterness define us or let healing refine us. I chose healing. It's harder than hatred, takes longer than revenge. But it's the only way to truly win against those who tried to break you. They wanted me locked away, medicated into submission, stripped of everything grandmother left me. Instead, I'm free, thriving, and teaching the next generation that strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise. So to anyone out there who's dealing with family betrayal, financial abuse, or false accusations, I want you to know that you're not alone. Document everything. Seek legal help. Find good therapy, and never let anyone make you doubt your own sanity when your instincts are screaming that something's wrong. Trust yourself, protect yourself, and remember that the best revenge is a life well lived, surrounded by people who truly love you, not what you can give them. What about you? Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone you trusted completely? How did you find the strength to move forward? Share your story in the comments below, because we heal not just through our own experiences, but through connecting with others who understand our pain and our triumph. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of survival and strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not crazy for sensing danger from their own family. Sometimes the people who should protect us are the ones we need protection from, and there's no shame in defending yourself against anyone who tries to dim your light. Thank you for listening to my story. May you always trust your instincts. May your truth always defeat their lies, and may you find the courage to stand strong, even when family becomes foe. Remember, you're stronger than their lies, worthier than their greed, and braver than you know. Until next time, stay safe, stay documented, and stay true to yourself.